Bismillah. Hold on. Yes. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another episode of the Self-Reflection Podcast. For those of you that are new, this is a podcast that is just me talking about the reflections I have in the week. Some things maybe that I've learned, or some things maybe that I've realized within myself. Usually it is pertaining towards myself, as I'm not a scholar, I'm not a person of knowledge or whatever. I'm just a person that's trying to be authentically themselves, and at the same time showing you a journey that I'm on, whether that be through my religion, which is Islam, and just learning stuff about life, like, as you grow up. Funny enough, I need to do an episode one day about how this all came about, because I think that'll be a very good episode, like the idea of why this was birthed. But yeah, alhamdulillah, like, I want to take the time out to say thank you for all the kind messages that have been sent to me. To be honest, it's quite overwhelming, the amount of messages you lot have sent me. Really positive, long, lengthy messages talking about how these podcasts and these self-reflections have been helping you, mainly the shorter form ones on Instagram and TikTok. So again, I just want to take the time out to tell you that I'm really thankful, and also that you should direct your gratitude towards the sponsor of this podcast, which is Human Appeal. Without them and their support with me, a lot of this might not have been able to take in place. They've really supported me throughout all of this, and again, I'm proud to be a sponsorship and a sponsor, and also an ambassador for Human Appeal. I believe in everything they do and stand behind them fully, and it's just a great organization to be a part of. So make sure you give them a follow on Instagram. Make sure you join the deployments that they go on regularly. There's a way for you to be a part of it. There's a way for you to come on deployments with myself, and also the challenges that they do. They really tackle things from a very wide angle of problems, whether it be, like, again, mental health, or whether it be the crises that go on in Turkey, Syria, Lebanon, Kenya. Again, there's so much to choose from, and they're just doing really good work, and I'm proud to be a part of it. So yeah, thank you, Human Appeal, as well. Today's episode, we're just going to jump straight in, like I always say. Today's episode, one thing I've been kind of reflecting on the past few days, weeks, is about your company and your environment, and how important that is, especially as a Muslim in today's society. And again, I think this kind of started off, I was talking to one of my friends who happens to be a sheikh. He happens to be a scholar, a young scholar, goes by the name of Mustafa Briggs, and he was explaining to me about the fact that the company you can keep, you don't understand the effect and how drastic the effect of the company you keep can be. And he likened it to if anyone reads Surah Kaf in the Quran, where it's talking about the kids in the cave. Again, I'm going to shorten it down. There's some kids that go into the cave because they're trying to escape what's going on in their society. Again, things are going on in society where it's bad for them. And they go into, so these kids go into a cave, and basically time speeds up for them. I can't remember how many years passes by, but because they are trying to get away from their society that's negative for them, they go into this cave, and it says that they fall asleep, but they fall asleep for many, many years. And then they get the benefit of that, the fact that obviously that society is now collapsed and a new one has arose. However, there was a dog in the story as well, and the dog was just a dog that followed them. But because the dog was with them, just because he happened to be in proximity of them, he got all the benefits that the kids in the cave did in Surah Kaf. And it's just, and obviously there's the story goes on to talk about other things, but people always say, look at the fact that the dog, who was just a part of their Jamaat, a part of their group, But just because he was close to them, just because he was in close proximity to them, he gained everything that they got, because of just when you're around something, they naturally just rubs off on you. And then he likened it to the fact of when Moses was leading the people out from Egypt, when he obviously split the sea. I think they were very ungrateful after he just saved them. And basically, God cursed the people to wander the desert for 40 years. However, Prophet Moses was a great prophet and Allah loved him. However, because he was around the negative people in that story, he was also cast out to almost be abandoned, wandering the desert for the 40 years. And because of that, he died. So it's not even a level of, oh, if you're pious, you're a safe person. Because again, no one's going to doubt the piety of Prophet Moses. Prophet Moses, just being in the bad company of those people, he was cursed to wander the desert for 40 years. And that is the reason why he died, because of the people he was surrounding himself with. Likewise, you might be a pious person, you might pray your 5 times a day, you might do your dhikr, you might do your charity or whatever, but if you're rolling around with the wrong people, if you're in the wrong crowds, you never know, their negativity can rub off on you based on their negative circumstances. Like if I go roll with certain couple of my friends, it is a high possibility that something really negative could happen to me just because I'm around them. Because they're not going to think, if my friends get attacked, my friends' enemies are not going to be like this. Oh wait, no, we're not going to get him because he's the pious guy, and they're not going to care. Again, everyone hears about all these things of like people like collateral damage and all these things. It's just a common thing. It's actually even happened to me before, in terms of like I was with someone and we went to a shisha bar, and I just remember, again, a fight broke out. It wasn't for me, it was for one of the people I was with. I didn't even know really that well, and I remember I got clocked in my mouth. It didn't really affect me, but because you know what I mean, big chin. But like, it didn't really affect me. But I in that moment, it got me thinking. I was like, oh wow, just because of the people I've associated myself with or kind of just got close to, I have now kind of received the consequences of that, which I just thought was an amazing reflection, to be honest. And it goes on to other things as well, because I'm talking about negatively. However, sometimes in life, we have to distance ourselves even from the ones we love, and they even might wish the best for us as well. But if being around people, again, that you love is leading you to have negative thoughts and negative habits, you have to distance yourself from these people, because it's just a matter of time before that accumulation of negativity will break out into something in your life detrimental. It's like, and because I used to have a lot of non-Muslim friends back in the day, and I still do. I don't interact with them too much like on a daily basis, but again, when I see them, again, it's nothing but love. However, if I'm chilling with my non-Muslim friends and I'm feeling low and I'm feeling depressed and I'm feeling these type of feelings and I'm feeling negative, my non-Muslim friend is not going to tell me to go pray, because we look at life through a different lens. He's not looking through the life from an Islamic lens, and he's not going to break out the verse, verily in the remembrance do hearts find rest, because he doesn't know it, because he's not Muslim. And that doesn't mean anything negative to him whatsoever, him or her. It's just the fact that we look at the life differently and we don't value or prioritize the same things. So even though they may love you and you may love them and you may wish them the best and they may wish you the best, just because of your values and your kind of life path, they're not going to give you maybe the advice that is best for you. Like, I know a lot of people that if I came to them and I was like, yo, I'm overthinking, I'm feeling negativity, a lot of them would tell me to like blaze one up and then we'd go smoke together, because that's what they do when they go through negative thoughts and negative things. So even though their good intention for you can still fall into some form of negativity, again, you can love them, because I see that as well. I don't look at it as like, oh, you're trying to make me commit a sin, or you're trying to make me do something negative. I don't look at it like that at all. I'm saying, wow, you love me so much, you are willing, you're just giving me the best advice that you can give. We just don't value the same thing, so that's why it may come across a bit different. Do you know what I mean? So again, you can wish them the best. I'm not telling you can't be friends with them. Of course you can be friends with them. It's just about distancing yourself. Don't spend all your waking moments with them. Do you know what I mean? Because then that will eventually form into habits. Habits form into your character. Character forms into your destiny. It's an easy thing to get caught up with. And likewise, just as it's the same with your company, I think what's almost as important is your environment as well. Environment, I believe environment kind of come under, I believe environment comes under the same umbrella as your company as well. For example, if you spend a lot of times in I like to go to like expensive restaurants, but when you realize expensive restaurants are only expensive because of the alcohol, really, the food is never really expensive. So you can go to expensive restaurants if you don't drink and you won't pay that much. However, you will be around a lot of money. You will feel the money in the air. You'll see the type of people that are in these establishments. And it's just this kind of feeling that you get. It's like, again, it's energy, and you get this kind of feeling around it, and you'll notice that your thoughts start to change. I remember when I went to a really nice restaurant the other day. It was really expensive in terms of the alcohol and everything, but I don't drink. But because I was around all these people and I was around these businessmen and these business women, and I was looking around and I was like, wow, like these men are really out here making this money. And then it just made me start to think about money more. Like, oh, how would I make money? How would I do this? How would I? And it changes your thoughts just based on the environment that you surround yourself with. And there's even an effect of this. There's this thing called the cathedral effect. And if you sit down in places that have very large and high ceilings, you will have grander thoughts. You won't have these like limited thoughts. You'll think of things like, oh, how am I going to change the world? How am I going to build the next Fortune 500 company? How am I going to do? You'll have a lot grander thoughts. And it's called the cathedral effect. And obviously because cathedrals are very large, very high ceilings, and it's just, they're very big, and it inspires you to have bigger dreams, bigger thoughts, bigger aspirations, just because you chose to sit in a cathedral or somewhere with a high ceiling. Likewise, we all know that feeling when we've been boxed in somewhere for a long time, whether it be a bedroom or whether it be a prison cell or whether it be whatever, and you feel claustrophobic. You feel your thoughts kind of don't go further than the four walls that you've kind of surrounded yourself within. And that's why depression, obviously people that suffer with depression, when you stay in a room for a long time because you don't want to move, you don't have the inspiration to move, sometimes it can feel overbearing and overpowering because you're like, oh my God, I'm so depressed. I'm just looking at, it's like you have the same thoughts on a constant loop. And that's just, again, based on your environment. And likewise, just with the cathedral effect, I take it upon myself to, I like to pay a lot for expensive gyms memberships, because I know that they're going to have a nice sauna. I know they're going to have a nice jacuzzi. I know they're going to have these nice things. And I know doing that every day, it just puts me in a better mood because I'm surrounding myself with beauty. And then it reminds me of when Allah says, I don't know if it's in the Quran or Hadith, when it says Allah is beautiful and He loves beauty. And that's the thing, and I think that's why there's that innate thing within all of us. Like, we like when we see, like certain interior designs of houses or cars or whatever. It's beautiful, and therefore, like, we see Allah in that, and that's why we're attracted to it. That's why we like it. And again, if you're surround yourself with these beautiful things, with a beautiful house, a beautiful home, a beautiful whatever, you notice that you feel better. It's the same. I think it's the same thing when I speak to some of my male friends sometimes, and we say sometimes, it's not even a thing of like, I speak to my male friends sometimes, and a common thing that I've heard men say is, let's go to this place because there's women there or whatever. And sometimes it's not even to like do anything. It's just to be in the presence of women because they inspire this level of beauty, obviously just within themselves and with wherever they kind of go. Do you know what I mean? wherever the women go, the women don't really go to scatty places too much. You know what I mean? They choose the most beautiful restaurants. They choose the most beautiful shisha lounges. They choose the most beautiful. Do you know what I mean? So wherever women go, like kind of beauty follows that. And again, we are attracted innately to beauty because beauty is in its source. The source of beauty is Allah. Beauty is what is beautiful is only beautiful because beauty, the attribute of beauty, belongs to Allah. So everything that you see and feel and touch and hear beautiful, it's Allah, because all of those beautiful characteristics, they borrow that attribute from Allah. Allah is the sole owner of beauty. And then again, but now, so we've spoke about again the physical separations from. So like you can physically separate yourself from your toxic friends. You can separate yourself from negative friends or negative people. And you can also separate yourself from negative environments, negative houses, negative places that don't look beautiful or they're not clean or whatever. It's easy to separate yourself from the physical. But now there's another thing we need to learn to separate ourselves from, something that became a part of ourselves in the past, I'd say 10 years, and that's our phones. Social media is now an extension of our environment and is also an extension of our network in terms of like people we link up with. Because I'm saying you need to distance yourself from negative people. However, if you follow them on social media, you see them every day, you interact with them on social media, that's still an interaction going on. I believe you have to create your social media to almost be like a safe haven. I love scrolling on my Instagram because all I really see is philosophy quotes, videography things, photography things, or like paintings or whatever. And okay, so the occasional woman, but that's just because of the way the algorithm's set up, I think. But that's the thing, and it's like, but I create my social media, so when I go there, it's a source of inspiration for me, rather than this draining kind of thing of you're just scrolling and you're seeing people live these glamorous lives that they're not really living. They're just kind of again trying to keep up with the Joneses or whatever. And again, you can create your social media to actually be a positive thing. Just like you can, again, create your social surroundings. You can be around positive people. You can be in positive environments. You can change social media to be a positive experience, because I'm doing it myself. I don't feel this need. You know, when people say, oh, I need to take a break from social media, I need to detox. I have never said that in my life. And I've never felt the need to have a break from social media, because I've never followed people that I don't want to kind of see. Do you know what I mean? Like if I follow you or whatever, like there's a level of like, I like you, you're a good person, you post good things. And if you don't post good things, but like you're a good friend of mine, I just probably mute your stories or whatever. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's just my kind of thing. So you have to learn to distance yourself from social media, distance yourself from your friend, or again, and if you can't distance yourself from it, again, it's too hard for you, then just curate it to be a pleasant, beautiful experience. Change the things, change the people you follow, because that eventually changes the algorithm as well. So we blame the algorithm for a lot of things, but a lot of the times the algorithm kind of just gives you what you give it. So if you're scrolling and you're looking at whatever you're looking at, I don't know what you're looking at, but that's the algorithm just goes, oh, you like to look at that, therefore I'm going to show you that. So when I'm liking all these philosophy things, I'm saving these philosophy things, it's going to show me philosophy things. And if I like other things, it's going to show me other things. Do you know what I mean? So you need to learn to curate that to a way that is beneficial towards your life. Just like you have to create your social surroundings as well, with the people you're in and the environments you're in as well. Also, I can speak for myself in this. A lot of the times, it will be if you can distance yourself from social media or just your phone, because even though people may not. Again, even with the introduction of social media and the phone into our lives, we've almost opened up another portal of ways of sinning. Do you know what I mean? So, because I might not be going out and doing zina or like having sex or whatever. However, I might be sinning in another way, because it's so easily accessible, again, to DM someone or to slide in someone's Snapchat or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And again, this is, struggles I go through. So I'm sure a lot of you go through these struggles. And it's like, I think that's another reasons why you have to distance yourself from your phone, because it also would be distancing yourself from your sins. You'll be blocking the gateway or the door of that sin. Because if you're thinking to yourself, if you're like, oh my God, every time I go into this house, I do this sin. Guess what? Don't go into the house, and that will stop that sin. Likewise with your phone. If you're on whatever apps, because there's so many apps that you can send, like it could be betting apps, gambling apps, delete the app. Like, you don't need it. It's not a pivotal, vital point in your life, unless it is. Then you just have to learn to curate it better for yourself, or put limits on yourself, or exaggerate, or just be more mindful when you're doing things. I think that's another thing. Sometimes we go on social media and we just scroll. We just like endlessly scroll, mindlessly scroll, and then we mindlessly talk to people. Everything is very mindlessly we do things. However, if we're just mindful when we're on these apps, again, just a bit more God conscious in these acts. Again, that's why it says, when it says, oh, if you can't see Allah, just know that Allah sees you. If you always have that in your head, that, oh, Allah's watching me, or God's watching me, or you're just being very present. You're not doing things just on autopilot. You're very aware of what you're doing. That could be a way of you stopping or lowering your sins that you're doing, because you're aware of it. I think the devil kind of catches us lacking when we sin. Do you know what I mean? We're not very aware when we're doing things. We kind of just fall into certain things because we haven't been mindful of the steps that led to that moment. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there because I feel like I've been talking ages. Let me check. Oh my God, 21 minutes. Guys, I'm sorry. I have I don't have a talking problem. It's on this podcast because my voice sounds nice in my head. I'm not going to lie to you. It sounds very warm. I feel like I could do ASMR. Hello guys, this is the Self-Reflection Podcast. And we're going to, the guided meditations or the guided sleep things. I think I'd be really good at them. So what we're going to do, we're going to slowly fall into a light slumber. Close your eyes. Think of happy thoughts. Think of the time the bunny rabbits was bouncing on the garden. They don't bounce on gardens, but whatever. They do kind of. Anyway, no, besides the point. And we're going to just slowly fade. Imagine yourself on a cloud flying through the ocean. Anyway, I'm gonna make an ASMR. I'm gonna make a Islamic ASMR story that people can sleep to. And as Abdullah traveled down the road, he noticed there was a old man named Yusuf. Yusuf was his teacher and was going to teach him of the secrets of life. See, look, I already know you was captivated by that story. Okay, anyway, it's 3 a.m. I need to go bed. Oh, the fact that I feel like that's another important thing. Guys, learn how to make yourself laugh. That is something that's very important in life. If you master the ability to make yourself laugh, I swear to God, you don't need anyone. And I do give myself belly laughs. I don't care if you don't think I'm funny. I find myself funny. But yeah, anyway, I'm very depressed as well. Anyway, Assalamu alaikum. I'll see you on the next episode of the Self-Reflection Podcast. Oh my God. All right, Assalamu alaikum. I need to go bed.